Okay, so I want you to just picture your calendar for a second. It's Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your coffee. You log in. The screen flickers to life.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you see?
The wall.
The wall. That solid block of, colorful rectangles, meeting, sync, stand up, check in, meeting.
Right.
For most of us, looking at that grid induces a very specific physical reaction. And be honest, listener, it's probably not excitement.
For most leaders I talk to, it's usually a deep existential sigh.
It really is. It's this feeling of paying a tax. Like, we see meetings as the price we have to pay to do our actual work later.
In the evening or on the weekend.
Exactly. But today, we're going to try and completely flip that script. We're doing a deep dive into this fascinating new article from Phoenix Performance Partners that claims we are looking at this all wrong.
It is a bold claim, but when you really dig into it, it makes a ton of sense. The core premise is, well, it's that we shouldn't be trying to just survive meetings.
Or minimize them to zero.
Right. We should be viewing them as the single most accessible and most underutilized tool for leadership development in the entire corporate world.
They call it the meeting as a leadership laboratory. Now, I have to be the skeptic here for a moment.
Look for it.
Most meetings I've been in feel less like a laboratory for growth and more like a
boredom dungeon.
boredom
Yeah.
dungeon.
Yeah.
Perfect. So how do we get from just surviving the hour to actual leadership development?
It starts with a very uncomfortable math problem. The article calls it the sting. And honestly, when I ran these numbers myself, it is a bit of a wake-up call.
I did the calculation too, and it made me feel a little guilty, I have to say. Walk us through it.
So the source asks you to look at last week. How many meetings did you actually facilitate? Not just sit in on, but the ones you led.
Okay. So for a typical leader with, say, 8 direct reports, you've got your weekly team meeting, project syncs, one-on-ones.
Right. If you actually tally that up for most leaders, that number is roughly 40 meetings a month.
40 a month, which then becomes
About 480 meetings a year.
480. That is a massive number when you say it out loud.
It's huge. And now, here comes the second question, and this is the one that really hurts.
This is the sting.
This is the sting. Of those 480 interactions, how many were explicitly designed to help your people grow as leaders?
And if we're being honest, for most of us, that answer is pretty close to zero.
Maybe not zero, but very low.
Right. We use those meetings to get status updates, to put out fires, assign tasks. We use them to manage the work, not to grow the people.
Precisely. And the article argues that this isn't just a missed opportunity, it's actually harmful.
Harmful? How so?
When you treat those 480 reps, and you should think of them as reps in a gym, when you treat them as just task management, you're effectively training your team to be dependent on you.
So you're saying my desire to be helpful and solve problems?
Is actually training helplessness.
Yeah.
You're teaching them that their role in a meeting is to report the weather, and your role is to fly the plane. You solve the problems, you make the calls, you assign the next steps.
Wow. That's a scary thought, but it makes sense.
It is the default mode for most organizations. And to break that cycle, you need a fundamental shift in how you frame the meeting before you even walk in the door.
Okay.
The article draws this really clear line between two approaches. The task-focused approach versus the development-focused approach.
Let's distinguish those. Because obviously tasks still have to get done.
Of course.
We can't just sit around talking about our feelings all day.
No, absolutely not. But look at the primary driver. The task-focused leader walks in asking, what do we need to execute today?
It's linear. It's about efficiency. And it feels productive in the moment.
It feels very productive. But the development-focused leader walks in asking a totally different question.
Which is?
Who on this team is ready to grow through leading this piece of work?
So one prioritizes the immediate output, the task, and the other prioritizes the capability of the person producing the output.
And the difference in impact is massive. The task-focused approach, it maintains the leader's importance. You are the hub.
Everything routes through you.
Yes. The development-focused approach multiplies the leader's impact. You are designing a team that can eventually function without you.
Which is the dream. I mean, every leader says they want a team that takes ownership, that proactively solves problems. So if we all know this, why aren't we doing it? Why do we default to micromanaging the meeting?
This is where the source gets really insightful. It moves into the psychology of it. It argues we don't do it because we're bad bosses or because we don't trust our people.
Okay.
We do it because we are relying on what they call default success strategies.
I found this section fascinating. It's basically saying that the behaviors that sabotage our team's growth are actually the same behaviors that got us promoted in the first place.
That is the paradox. They are our unconscious comfort zones, patterns we developed early in life to feel safe and successful. They're actually strengths.
But when you apply them unconsciously in a leadership
They
meeting,
backfire.
the article outlines 4 of these comfort zones. I think we should walk through them, because I'm betting every listener is going to identify with at least one. I certainly did.
Let's do it. The first one is control.
This is the perfectionist, right?
It is. This is the deep, deep need to get things right, to maintain high standards. The control leader has this almost visceral reaction to messiness or ambiguity.
So what does that look like in a meeting on a Tuesday afternoon?
So imagine a direct report is kind of struggling to explain an idea, or maybe their slide deck isn't quite right.
Okay.
The control leader just jumps in, you know what, it's faster if I just explain it, or here, let me fix that slide. They rescue the team from the struggle.
And the result of that rescue is?
The meeting becomes a quality control session. The team learns how to present things exactly how the boss likes them, but they don't learn how to think for themselves.
They just learn to guess what you want.
Yeah.
Okay, guilty. But what about the opposite leader? The one who just wants everyone to get along?
That brings us to the next 2 zones. Connection and harmony. They sound similar, but they're driven by different things.
Break them down.
Connection is the need to be liked, to build relationships. A leader with this default strategy, they avoid asking tough questions because they don't want to create tension.
They don't want to be the bad guy.
Exactly. So they rescue people from what the article calls productive struggle because they feel bad for them. The meeting is pleasant, everyone leaves smiling, but nobody grew because nobody was challenged.
It's a nice meeting, but it's stagnant.
Totally stagnant. And then there's harmony.
Which is different how?
Harmony is less about the individual relationship and more about the system, the need to keep the peace, avoid conflict. A harmony-driven leader hates disrupting the rhythm.
So when a new project comes up, they don't give it to the person who needs the challenge.
No, because that person might struggle, which would create stress. So they give it to the volunteer or the person who always delivers.
It's safer.
Yeah.
Keeps the boat steady.
But it maintains the status quo. The high performers get burned out, and the developing performers get left behind.
Okay, that leaves the 4th zone. Accuracy.
The analyzer. This is the need to be precise, to be thorough. In a meeting, this leader just overthinks the whole developmental approach.
I'll let Sarah lead the meeting once she's had 2 more months of training and the project is in a more stable phase.
Yes. And that moment never comes. The accuracy leader turns the meeting into an information-sharing lecture because they are terrified of moving forward without all the data.
So whether you're driven by control, connection, harmony, or accuracy, the net result is the same.
Exactly. You protect your own comfort instead of challenging the team.
And the article's core thesis is that transformation really requires choosing courage over comfort.
You have to be willing to be uncomfortable for your team to grow.
Okay, let's get practical. We get the math, we get the psychology.
Yeah.
What do we actually do? The article gives us this 6-part framework.
A workout routine for your leadership.
Right. So if I want to stop being a control freak in my meetings, what do I actually do differently tomorrow morning?
Okay, rep number 1. Start with context, not tasks.
So instead of opening with item 1, budget review, what am I saying?
You zoom out, you ask, before we dive into the numbers, how does this budget connect to our big strategic goal of entering the new market this quarter?
You're forcing them to lift their heads up and think bigger.
You're teaching strategic thinking. Now, notice how your comfort zone will fight this. If you're a control type, you'll think, this is fluff. Let's get to the work.
And if you're an accuracy type,
You might be tempted to give a 20-minute lecture explaining the context yourself. But the goal is to ask the question and let them connect the dots.
got it. Okay, step 2.
Assign ownership, not just tasks.
This sounds like delegation, but I feel like there's a nuance here.
There is. It's the difference between delegating a chore and delegating real authority. Instead of saying, Mark, you handle the slide deck, you say,
Something more light.
Mark, you've been working on your storytelling. Are you ready to take the lead on the whole narrative for this presentation?
You're framing the work as a vehicle for his growth.
Exactly. And you have to watch out for the connection trap here. If you prioritize being liked, you'll only offer these roles to people who seem eager.
You have to be willing to push the person who's a bit hesitant but ready. Okay. Step 3 feels like the hardest one for me. Ask coaching questions. Not Leading questions.
This is where most of us fail. A leading question is just a command with a question mark. Don't you think we should call the vendor?
Which really means call the vendor, you idiot.
Pretty much. You've already done the thinking. A coaching question is, what are our options with the vendor? Walk me through your reasoning.
Okay, that makes sense. But there's a tricky part, isn't there?
There is. After you ask that question, you have to embrace the silence.
The awkward pause.
That silence is where the learning happens. When you ask a hard question and the room goes quiet, your control instinct will scream at you to jump in and answer it.
And your connection instinct says the silence feels mean.
Yes, but you have to wait. That silence is the sound of your team building new neural pathways. If you break the silence, you break the learning.
Wow. Okay. That is going to be tough to practice, but I see it. What's step 4?
Step 4 is create space for peer learning. This is about breaking that hub and spoke model where everyone just talks to the boss.
You want them talking to each other.
Yes. So you say something like, Jamal, you faced a similar issue last month on your project. What advice would you give Sarah here?
You're turning the team into a brain trust so they stop relying only on you.
Right. And Harmony types often skip this because they worry about comparing people, but it's how you build a resilient culture. Step 5, make thinking visible.
This for when the leader does have to make the decision, right?
Yeah.
Can't delegate everything.
Correct. Sometimes you have to make the call, but don't just announce it. Show your work.
So you say?
Okay, I'm deciding to go with option B. Here are the 3 variables I weighed: cost, speed, and risk. And here's why the risk in option A felt too high.
So you're modeling your decision-making algorithm for them.
You're giving them the blueprint for how you think. Control types hate this because they feel explaining themselves looks like weakness, but it's actually high-level mentorship.
And finally, step 6.
And with reflection, not just action items. This comes back to that great John Dewey quote in the article. We don't learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience.
So at the end of the meeting, instead of just, okay, break, what do?
You take 60 seconds, you ask, what is one takeaway you have from how we solved that problem? Or what did we do well as a group today?
It's like a save game moment for the brain. It locks in the learning.
Exactly. Otherwise, everyone just rushes to the next meeting and it's gone.
So that's the framework. Context, ownership, coaching questions, peer learning, visible thinking, and reflection. It sounds effective, but let's be real. It also sounds like it takes more time.
In the short term, yes.
Yeah.
It is always faster to just tell people what to do. But the article provides a timeline that argues the ROI is. It's just massive.
Walk me through this timeline. If I commit to this today, when do I actually get my life back?
It's not overnight. The first month is messy. People are confused. But by month 3, if you're consistent, the source says your people start bringing you solutions, not just problems.
Okay, 3 months to get past the dumping problems on my desk phase. I can live with that.
By month 6, the team is making decisions you used to make because you've been making thinking visible.
That feels like the turning point.
It is. And by month 12, you hit the multiplication phase. Your direct reports start developing their people. They're doing to their teams what you did to them.
And by month 18?
The leader is free. The team effectively runs operations. And you can finally focus on strategy, on the future.
18 months to freedom. It's a long game, but the alternative is staying on the hamster wheel forever.
And there's this bonus stat that really seals it. Gallup data cited in the article shows leaders account for 70% of the variance in employee engagement.
70%.
And the #1 driver of engagement is development. People stay where they grow.
So you're not just saving your own time. You're retaining your best talent.
It is a total win-win.
Okay, so we've covered the why, the what, and the how. I want to close with the specific challenge, the article issues. They call it the 1 meeting challenge.
I love this because it stops you from getting overwhelmed. You don't have to overhaul your entire life this week.
The challenge is simple. Look at your calendar for this week. Pick just 1 recurring meeting.
Just one. Don't try to fix everything at once.
And before you go into that meeting, choose 1 development outcome, not a business outcome, a development outcome.
Like, I want Sarah to practice strategic thinking, or I want the team to practice peer feedback.
Then you look in the mirror. Name your default success strategy. Are you a control freak? A harmony addict? Just know what you're up against.
Or when you're in that room, just try to catch yourself. When the silence hits, bite your tongue. Ask the coaching question.
It's that simple and it's that hard. But it really brings us back to the bottom line of the article, which is that there is no neutral ground. Every meeting you facilitate is either developing your people
or it's keeping them dependent on you.
That is a heavy realization to carry into your next Zoom call.
Hmm.
We think we're just having a meeting, but we're actually shaping the future capability of our entire organization.
We are, and the question the source leaves us with is this. Are you ready to stop being the expert everyone depends on and start being the developer who makes experts out of everyone else?
Courage over comfort.
Yeah.
That's the mantra. Thanks for diving deep with us today on The Meeting is a Leadership Laboratory.
Go build some leaders.
We'll see you on the next one.